what if Superman snapped? Not what if he had a bad day? Not what if he got mind controlled by some villain for one issue and then everything went back to normal? What if the greatest hero on Earth, the one billions of people loved, depended on, and took completely for granted, just broke permanently and decided the world that made him that way deserved to burn? That's not a thought experiment. That's a comic book. It's called Irredeemable, and the character at the center of it is going to make you afraid of every Superman story you've ever loved. His name is the Plutonian, and by the time we're done here, you're going to understand exactly how the most beloved hero in the world became the most dangerous thing it had ever seen. Let's start with who he was before everything went wrong. The Plutonian's real name is Daniel Hardigan. He wasn't born on a doomed planet and rocketed to Earth. His origin is stranger than that. He came from a probe sent out by cosmic beings called the Elios, who were searching the universe for someone who desperately needed help. The probe found a woman in crisis, and out of that came a child. Him, immune to harm from the very beginning. That woman couldn't handle what she was raising. She spiraled, and in her darkest moment, she tried to take both their lives. The child survived without a scratch. He didn't even understand what had happened. He was passed from foster home to foster home until he finally landed with a family who gave him an actual name and an actual life, the Hardigans. So picture that, before he ever put on a cape, before he ever saved a single life. This is a kid who already learned the most dangerous lesson a person can learn, that the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally can still try to destroy you, and that he somehow always survives it. That detail matters more than almost anything else in this story. Keep it in your back pocket. He grows up, he gets powers that put him in a completely different category than every other hero on his world. He's not just strong, he's borderline reality warping, and he does what any good kid raised by loving parents would do. He decides to use it to help people. He becomes the world's greatest hero, the face of safety for an entire planet. Billions of people wake up every single day knowing that no matter what happens, he's out there and he'll fix it. And here's where Mark Waid, the writer behind this book, does something genuinely brilliant. He doesn't ask, what turns a hero evil? He asks a much scarier question. What does it actually feel like, psychologically, to be that hero? Not from the outside, where it looks like flying and laser eyes and saving the day. From the inside. Because here's the truth nobody in his world wants to admit. Being a god-tier hero who can do almost anything means you're also held responsible for everything you don't do. If a bus crashes 10 miles away from a city he's currently saving, the news doesn't say he wasn't there. They ask why he didn't see it coming. If he stops 99 disasters in a day and 100th one slips through, the headlines aren't about the 99, they're about the one. People don't thank him for the world he protects. They interrogate him for the world he can't be in two places at once to protect. And he absorbs every single bit of that. This is the core of the Plutonian, and it's the single most disturbing idea in the whole series. His entire heroic identity was built on a desperate, bottomless need for unconditional love and approval, not admiration, not respect, total uncritical love, the kind he never fully got as a child. And every time someone criticized him, even mildly, even fairly, it didn't feel like feedback. It felt like rejection. It felt like that foster home all over again. So he starts doing something quietly terrifying. He throws tantrums. He sulks. Sometimes he flat out refuses to help people who've said something critical about him. Because on some level, he can't separate "you made a mistake" from "you are unlovable." The mask of the perfect hero is hiding someone who is, underneath it, deeply fragile. And the world keeps demanding more from him every single day. More saves, more perfection, more forgiveness for things that genuinely weren't his fault. People don't see the effort. They only see the gap between what he did and what they wished he'd done. There's no villain monologue moment where he decides to turn evil. That's what makes this so much worse than a normal supervillain story. There's just an accumulation, year after year, of feeling like nothing he does is ever enough. That love is conditional on perfection, and that the one mistake everyone's been waiting for is always right around the corner. And then, one day, it happens. The mistake, the criticism, the last straw, whatever it was, and something that took decades to build collapses in an instant. he snaps. And because of who he is, because of what he can actually do, snapping doesn't mean punching a wall or storming off. It means the literal apocalypse. He destroys Sky City, the metropolis he spent his entire life protecting, not by accident, not collateral damage from a fight with some other villain. He does it himself on purpose to the people he used to call his own. Millions of people who once loved him are dead within moments by his hand. And from there, it doesn't stop. He turns on humanity itself. The rest of the book follows his former teammates, a group of heroes called the Paradigm, as they try to figure out how you stop a being who is, for all practical purposes, an angry god. Someone who knows exactly how every one of his old friends thinks, exactly what their weaknesses are, because he used to fight alongside them. He's not an external threat, he's an inside job. Let's talk about what he can actually do, because this is not your average strong guy flies around hero. His powers are rooted in something deeper than muscle and momentum. He can sense the position and momentum of every atom around him simultaneously, which, if you know anything about quantum physics, means he's essentially breaking the uncertainty principle just by existing. In theory, that gives him the ability to manipulate probability itself, rewrite outcomes, maybe even see through time. His laser vision isn't a beam he shoots. It's him transferring kinetic energy directly into the air molecules in front of his eyes until they become superheated plasma. His freezing breath works the same way in reverse, stripping motion out of the air around him. In other words, this isn't a man with powers. This is a being who, if he wanted to, could probably rewrite the laws of physics on a whim. And for years, the only thing keeping that power in check was his own need to be loved. Once that need curdles into rage, there is functionally nothing on Earth that can stop him, which is exactly the point. Wade isn't just telling a hero goes bad story. He's asking what happens when society builds its entire safety net around one emotionally unprepared, unconditionally powerful person, and never once stops to check if that person is okay. We give Superman-type heroes an impossible standard. Save everyone, always, no excuses, and we rarely ask what kind of person that standard creates, or what happens the day they finally can't carry it anymore. The Plutonian isn't scary because he's powerful. Plenty of characters are powerful. He's scary because his villain origin isn't a radioactive accident or an evil twin or a corrupting artifact. It's burnout. It's resentment. It's the exact same emotional rot that could happen to anyone who's praised for results and never asked how they're actually doing. He just happens to have the power to turn that rot into a mass extinction event. By the end of the series, his story doesn't get a clean redemption. There's no last-minute return to heroism that erases what he did. The damage stays. The deaths stay. The world he broke doesn't get fixed just because he eventually feels remorse. If anything, that's the most honest part of the whole book. Some things, once broken, just stay broken, no matter how powerful you are. So next time you watch Superman catch a falling plane with a smile on his face and not a single hair out of place, ask yourself the question Irredeemable is really asking. Not, is he strong enough to save everyone? But what happens to a person, even an essentially divine one, when the entire world only loves them conditionally and they're never allowed to fail? Because somewhere out there, in a story about a hero who lost it all, that question already got answered. And the answer was Sky City in ruins, with millions dead because the world's greatest protector finally stopped believing anyone actually loved him back. That's the Plutonian, the hero who broke the world by breaking first. If you want more deep dives into the darkest corners of comic book mythology, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one.